You got a little delayed, is it?
Let me put in the. Now you hear me better?
Yeah, yeah, perfect,
Okay.
perfect. So how are you?
I'm fine, Vikram. Thank you very much for your invitation. It's always an honor to be in the presence of a person who is doing so much for the mediators around the world. I'm glad that you have interested in South America. I say I'm very thankful to you for the initiatives you have in Argentina, Colombia, Brazil, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you very much, Alexander. Actually, the honor is mine, and you've been so nice in terms of the interpretation that you've done for me, interpreting that you did for these people. I think that was very useful. That's been very useful. But thank you for accepting the invitation. But how are things in Brazil now in terms of
Well,
the
we became the center of the pandemic. Brazil is losing a lot of people in the death toll, unfortunately. We reached there are some days here that we have 4,000 people dying in a single day.
Mhm.
And in some states, we have the health sector near the collapse. And most of the cities, most of the states, we are very close to a lockdown. In my state, we were in a state of emergency. One step near the shutdown of everything. Now we are in a red phase. Schools are reopening with one third of the students going to the school. We have so far 10%, I guess, of the population with the first dose, or maybe 12%. But with the second dose, only 3% of the population. So we are facing huge problems, and we are doing an effort to approve more vaccines now. So in Brazil, we have 4 vaccines being given to the population, and I guess till the end of this month, we will have 6 vaccines. We will have the Russian one and more new one. Brazil is producing one vaccine alone now, and is producing one vaccine in cooperation with China. So we have faith on the vaccine, but we don't have any other medicine to combat the pandemic.
Mhm.
And I hope that in the end of this month we get things better. But it's very tough time here in Brazil.
But what about hospital beds and all? I mean, are hospitals overloaded, or enough?
In some places in Brazil, we have unfortunately people dying waiting for a room. The CTI rooms, the intensive care units, are the more problematic one in this phase. In a city like São Paulo, we have today 81% of the hospital beds occupied. But the problem is that we have a shortage for medicine. When you need to intubate someone, you need to give them medicine, and we're becoming to have a shortage of these medicines in more 2, maybe 3 days. And I hear from the doctors that if you don't have the medicine, you cannot intubate anyone because it's unnatural. The person will take the tube out. So you need to do these drugs, and we are seeking desperately for buying more drugs because we have room, we have equipment, but maybe we are going to get short of the drugs to make the patients relax and permit that we use another techniques in the very extreme cases.
Because there is one particular medicine that they're using here, which seems to be working in the sense, I don't know, people are recovering. I don't even know that name. I don't know what the name is, but it's actually been, I think it's been tested now quite a bit. It's called remdesivir, some remdesivir, which is
Yes.
quite prevalent now being used. But otherwise, Alexander, how's work?
Work is fine. We adopted some measures. So in my office, we in the end of February, we sent all the staff home. So secretaries, paralegal, trainees, young lawyers, everybody's at home, working at home. No difference in payment, but we don't want them in the office. Here we are with the partners only, and some days we come with 2, 3 partners, other day other 2, 3 partners, so we don't make people all together at the same time in the office. We are using platforms to assist our clients. So we are using Zoom, Teams, other platforms. Cisco WebEx, Hangouts, Google now has a new name for the Hangout. It's Meets. No,
Meet, yeah, Meet, yeah.
Meets, yes. And we are doing the work. It's difficult because what I see is that online we are more. We don't want to spend the same amount of time we want when we have the one in the presence of the other. So for 1 year, that's new, it's challenging, but now I guess all the customers and the lawyers are getting a little bit bored by this situation. We keep going on because it's the only way we can. It's not a choice, it's a necessity.
But I think we'll get used to it now. I think I'm quite used to it. I like this world quite. I shouldn't say it, but I'm actually enjoying it.
Yes, Vikram. Look at the possibility. India and Brazil are connected now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you should take a plane. I should take a plane, plan a visit, go to the hospital. It's very nice to know the places, but it's much more rational and much more economical to have these conversations directly. So what I guess is that technology will advance fast, and we will be soon in a kind of virtual room, exactly as your place or my place. So your avatar will talk with my avatar in a 3D environment, virtual reality. So we look to what we are doing now and say, look, we were closed by some squares, some rectangles, and we communicated. But this will evolve a lot. I think I will have soon with you an experience that will allow us to be with the senses of being in the same room.
Yeah, I thought the Cisco had done some work on it. I had heard that they had developed some concept like that for their meeting. I haven't. I'll have a look at it. But that's something which has to happen. I think that's the way the direction we'll have to go, because once we've got used to this and we found the benefits of this, I don't think we can now. That physical meeting is nice. I'm sure it's a very good thing, but at least
And
this
you are
way we're
right,
meeting.
Vikram. Everybody knew online meetings and online dispute resolution. Now we are needing to practicing that, and we are seeing that we can do it. So the proof is that in the last year, my office is making most of its revenues from online meetings, from chats, from cell phone conversations. So we change the way we work. And even in the courts, the Brazilian courts are closed. So when you need to present a case before a judge or before a tribunal, you go online. And we have the gags. We have people here in Brazil. It was funny because last week, one guy kept the camera recording and went to a bath. So in the middle of a session in the tribunal, the judges were seeing the attorney taking a bath. So, and this was in the national TV, and everybody laughed about, because I said, you need to dominate the technology. You need to know when your camera is open, when your video is streaming, and when your audio is closed or not. And so I guess we are being trained to new abilities. We must pay attention, because sometimes we think we did something, but we can be broadcasting and everybody seeing what you're doing. So
Actually,
some of them, I guess, are fake. They prepare something only for law. There are others that you say, wow, how the person did that.
no, there is a story like that. There a person did lots more on the table during the break. There is a story going on that also. I don't know where is it from. I don't know. Maybe is it South America? I don't know where it is from. But there
Yes,
is a
we have
story.
another case in the tribunal. The attorney asked for the judge for something. The judge denied it, and the attorney was going to the chat to say to the customer, and he made a bad word to say about the judge. He cursed the judge. But the chat was open. So the judge said, look, you put something on the chat. I want to call the bar association. Oh, no, no, please, I apologize. I apologize. It was my mistake. No, it's recorded. Now you cannot apologize. It will become a claim against you, attorney, because you cannot address to me, judge, in that way. It's very unrespectful. So this is the new normal. The things that we are getting used to is that we must pay attention carefully to what we are doing online because it's a new way to
But
communicate.
I think it's the way the judges take it, because India also similar situation happened where this person, he thought it was mute. They muted his microphone. He said something about the judge, but the judge took it quite nicely. He said, "I think we should mute him before he says more about us." So,
Yes. And another interesting case is that in our Supreme Court, one of the judges was doing the access to the platform just before the nephew was doing some work at school. So when he started, the background was a big shark and a small fish. And the judge was saying, I don't know how to move this. I'm so sorry. We must go on with the session, but I apologize because I have a shark and a fish and I don't know how to wrap it out from the screen. And the judgment was performed with this scenario on the background.
and that the American which went viral about that cat, the lawyer who couldn't get that out. Nice. These are also, I think this is entertainment. We need some entertainment also because the legal profession has become too serious. I think we need
Yes,
these
it's just
breaks.
an exception, small cases, but it adds humor to our
Yeah.
practice,
And
our
also,
lives.
yeah, it also tells people that lawyers are also human. So are
Yes,
judges.
yes, yes.
But what kind of work are you doing? Uh,
For 30 years, I found a law firm which the main goal is to assist companies, most Brazilian companies or some foreign companies that are doing business in Brazil. So our practices involves company formation, contracts, labor law, tax law. We have some specialities. We have a division here to take care of entertainment and sports law.
mhm,
And when we start doing our practice with the companies, we became friends, close friends in some cases, with some of the persons. And so when someone who is working for a company asks us to review a lease contract or do something that is more domestic, more private, we do also because we care. We see that the legal professional involves relationship. So when you develop a relationship with some person, you stay on the side of this person and also assists the person. So it's not our area, but sometimes we have someone taking care of a divorce, of a will, in the name of someone who is working for the companies we are focused to assist. And we are in the business for 30 years in a row. This year will be the year 31. We will celebrate our anniversary of the law firm in August 11.
mhm,
That's a special date in Brazil because on August 11 um, was the date that our emperor, our first emperor, Peter the First, son of a king of Portugal, decided to open two law schools in Brazil, one in São Paulo and one in Recife in the northeast of the country. So this date is a special date. We inaugurated our office in that date. So we celebrated. In Brazil, Brazil has not the same history that India has. Our first law school was opened here in 1827. So it's old for Latin American standards, but when you go to the world, this means nothing because Oxford, Harvard, Cambridge were much older schools, and I guess in India is the same. You have much more traditional schools than we
okay.
are. We still say that we are new countries. We are still doing things here because it's a problem. There were people here when the Portuguese came, and the people in Brazil were called Indians because they thought they were finding a new route to India. But were tribes. The tribes here were Guaranis, were Tupis, and natives, and the natives here were most of them unfortunately terminated, extinguished. We have very few people from the original tribes in Brazil. Now
That's
they
sad.
have a lot of rights. They have rights to the land. They vote. They were included in the first one to be vaccinated, because when you live in the jungle, you are more susceptible to virus and things from the civilized world. So they were cared in just in the first persons. They had priorities.
But what about the forest land by itself? I think it's being reduced now. No? A lot of land has been taken up, so these people still
Yes.
get some. They still
Yes,
get some
they
land.
still
Yeah.
get some. In the north, in the Amazon region, many people, when they say, when you hear the word Brazil, you think about the Amazon jungle.
Yeah.
In the Amazon jungle, we have big reserves for the natives. Some of these reserves are bigger than some European countries.
Wow.
So they have land. But the problem is that in these lands, these forests, we have minerals, we have resources. So it's complicated to adequate it a way to preserve the native culture and do not go for the minerals or for the economical potential of the land. So it's complicated. And you hear a lot about Brazil, about the deforestation and fires in the Amazon jungle. So this is a permanent situation. It's a permanent issue that we have to deal all the time because it's a huge area. The Amazon jungle starts in Peru and goes all through north of Brazil. It's a very, very big region. São Paulo is a small state compared to Amazonas, to the states in the north. We, we are small states when we compare to these big lands. But sometimes you flew 2-3 hours and you don't see a person because
Wow.
it's just the forest. It's just the forest.
I think main thing is you have to balance this out, because on one end we talk about the Amazon forest being very important for the world environment, and on the other end you have to look at your commercial interest also. So I think that
Yes,
balancing out.
it influences in the climate because you have the rivers and you have a floating river because all the condensate from the waters, they influence it in a system of the climate.
Yeah.
So if we don't take care about the Amazon, we are going to change the climate for worst. It's not only the problem on the North Pole and the South Pole. In the equator, we also need our land. And Amazon jungle is quite can be compared to a lung for all of us in Earth.
No, because I was watching this one documentary where the effect of one little thing happening in one corner of the world, how it affects the totally different part of the world. So I mean, we're all connected in that sense. One, we're connected through Zoom, but we're also connected in that sense.
Yes, there is a book called The Butterfly Effect. If a butterfly
Yeah.
moves wings, it affects the entire because we are connected.
Yeah.
That's we are all connected,
Yeah.
interconnected.
But tell me, in terms of sports, you said you do sports law, but are you doing some mediation related to sports law?
Yes, in sports law, it's more contracts. We have the routine work here is involve clubs and athletes. Sometimes we are on the side of the clubs, sometimes we are on the side of the athletes. So we regulated image rights, broadcasting rights, what is going to be paid as a salary, as use of image, and all of this is regulated. Football is the number one sport in Brazil. So most of the people involved with the sports law in Brazil are related to some football club, some soccer club, or some athletes in football. Although we have clients in basketball, handball, and track and field, swimming, but the difference of salaries is so high. When you get a prime stars in football, you are talking about a lot of figures in the paycheck.
Yeah.
When you do talking about other sports, it's different. But what I can say generally is that the Brazilian athlete for soccer he comes from a difficult background. It's people that are not educated, not they live with the family. When they have the chance to be a good player, it's the chance they have to change their lives. So they grab it. So they are not prepared. They took a time to understand that they need assistance. They need someone that's not the father, not the mother, to represent them. So now we have elite athletes talking to clubs in the same level, because they say, I know athletes, they don't have one attorney. They have a team of 12, 20 attorneys working for them. So when they sit with the club, they go hand on hand to decide what's better. And they now, in Brazil, we cannot go to see in an arena or a stadium a football match. So today, everything is surviving depending on the right transmission rights. What's going to be watched in the TV, on streaming, and the clubs, this is the way they are getting some revenues. Other things that we have the sponsors. Most of the uniforms, they have a trademark on it, sometimes more than one. So we negotiated which trademark is going to each club, in which position of the uniform, and some regulations. In Brazil, they are trying to allow that beer factories can be sponsors, because according to the local law, no alcohol, no alcoholic beverage can sponsor a sports team. But they are trying to make a change on that. I don't know what your opinions about
Here also same
cigarette
thing.
companies and alcohol promoting sports.
Here, yeah, here also same thing. We regulate that. We don't allow that here. There is no
Yes,
concept of
because it
advertising.
has
Yeah,
a wrong message. You say,
yeah,
look, they are doing a health thing, but the sponsor is a cigarette. I was used to Formula One when most of the cars were sponsored by a cigar brand. Our idol, Ayrton Senna, the first wins was in a McLaren that was a Marlboro trademark on it. The car was like the
yeah,
Marlboro package
yeah,
cigarette.
yeah.
We saw the world changing from that. In Brazil, maybe they are wondering to take some steps back.
Yeah, because I think the main thing is that at some point of time, definitely that whole consciousness about the fact that the harm that it's doing, cigarettes have definitely with those packs and the kind of imagery that they put there, I think that also these companies resisted for a long time. That whether
Yes,
you can
and
show that.
we have two big events, sports events coming on. This year, we will see sooner Tokyo, the Olympic Games. And the Olympic Games will be affected because some countries are not sending their athletes to the games. North Korea, I guess, was the first one to say, we are not going to send our athletes. And it was a pity because North Korea would be competing together with South Korea. So you like peace, you are a peacemaker. The sport is a way to promote peace because South Korea and Korea will join in to be just Korea, as Germany did in previous Olympic Games. Germany was divided, but they competed together first, then the Berlin Wall was turned out. So it was a pity because it could add some political movement in the direction to have one Korea altogether, people reunited by the cause of sports. The second will happen later on is the Qatar, the FIFA World Cup.
Yep.
Qatar is hosting the games. I hope that we can see Qatar games in a way that the pandemic is over, but now it's just a hinge. It's just a
Yeah, I mean, at least the main thing is it'll be broadcast. So I think finally we'll have to see that. But the whole concept of all these people traveling there and the kind of passion they have for football, that definitely will affect them. Because people plan so much in advance that they'll go to the World Cup. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. So I think
yes,
that'll.
for Brazilians, when in normal days we stop the country, everybody goes to watch the games. The national team stops the country, and some big teams, other great teams, also stop the country because everybody wants to see Argentina against Germany, for instance. It's a classic. Everybody wants to know what's happening in those situations. Italy is a team that we have many Italians in Brazil. I myself, I'm an Italian descendant from part of my family. So Brazil is a very big mixture because the natives are a very small part of the population, and everybody else is an immigrant. our families came from one part. Here in São Paulo, I have the pleasure to find some Indian places if I want some Indian food,
Hmm.
Malaysian food, Thai food, Japanese food, Chinese food, Italian, French, many German food, even the British food. And I do apologize if there is someone from the United Kingdom hearing us now, because I lived in England. I can say that, wow, when I was in England, I was happy when I found an Indian place, when I have some curry chicken or something, because the English food, not for my taste, is not so good. I think they don't eat well. And in the United States, it is even worse because they have a fast food uh, situation that makes everybody eats much more than they need. The portions are great, everything is greasy and not so healthy.
And the main thing, look, when you talk about Indian food, the point is that actually we have such a large variety that finally what reaches Brazil, I don't know. Because for you, that is Indian food, but there is so much more which would not have reached there also. So because,
Yes. In terms of food, in Brazil, we have a national dish. Our national dish is called feijoada. That's black beans. And what is interesting is that these black beans, that's accompanied by some parts of porks, was the food that the slaves, people who come from Africa to work in Brazil, the society at that time was divided in owners of the slaves, the big house, the people who live in the farms in the big house, and the senzala, the small house. Sometimes the small house was big because someone would have a great number of slaves, but the slaves lived separate from the owners. And the slaves, they were allowed to eat the rests, what was not the food of the masters, but the lefties. So in these lefties, there was the bean, uh, pork tongue, tail, small parts, and they produced a very Creole food, very tasteful, with that called feijoada, black beans. So in Brazil, on Wednesday and Saturdays, it's common to have everybody sitting and have a great feijoada. This is the national dish. Then you have local dishes depending on the states. And the national drink is caipirinha. That is sugarcane alcohol with lemon
Mhm.
and sugar. If you don't want our sugar lemon alcohol beverage, that's called pinga or cachaça, you can change it to vodka, you can change it to sake, but always with lemon, crushed lemons, and you serve it with a lot of ice. So Brazilians love caipirinha and love feijoada. If you
Wow.
come to Brazil, probably someone will invite you for both of this. I don't know if you drink alcohol, but
No, I
you
don't.
can do it without alcohol. You
Without
can do it
alcohol,
just
yes, I'll do it without alcohol.
yes, yes, alcohol free.
Yes, but otherwise, are there lots of Indians there? Is it? Do we have enough Indians in
Yes,
Brazil?
yes.
No.
Tata Corporation started business here. ArcelorMittal started business in Brazil. So we have Indian investments now in Brazil. We have now for 5 years Indian Brazil Chamber of Commerce.
Mhm.
So the communities are doing things because we are part of BRICS, né? Brazil,
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Russia,
India,
uh,
China, South Africa, we formed a trade bloc. I don't know if we are aligned, everybody aligned on this block, but it's an interesting way to join people that have a common interest. So I hope that BRICS can do a lot in the future, a lot
yeah,
better.
well, we'll covering a very large population. I mean,
Yes,
BRICS.
yes.
Yeah. So
And
definitely.
we see India as a great producer of software, call centers, technology. People in São Paulo love people from, I don't know if I gave the right credits to Bangalore, as Bangalore being the Silesium Valley of India. So for us, Bangalore is a place of high technology, things that interested a lot to the Brazilians industries, Brazilian companies. So this interchange will grow a lot in the next years.
No, actually Bangalore has. I mean, in that sense, they've gone all over the world from there. I mean, they're doing work everywhere from there. So that way, I don't know how it has happened, but India has been number one in software and everything. Why that has happened? Is there something to our genes? What is it about? What is it about?
Yes, yes. And other interesting thing is that Brazilian likes to watch soap operas on TV. And one of the famous soap operas that we did in Brazil was a history with Brazilian actors and actresses that was filmed in India and talk about the history of a Dalit who married someone for another case, and all the atmosphere was created around that. So, of course, it's not the precise situation, I guess, that happens in India, but it was a way that Brazilian TV producers sold to the Brazilians India. So it was fantastic because it was colorful, a lot of dances, a lot of difficult situations, and the way that your group decides with who you marry or who you don't marry, these kind of things. I see that when India became independent from the United Kingdom, from the British interference, the first thing that appears in your constitution, 1947 or 948, I'm not
50. We got
sure.
our constitution in 50. Yeah, 1950.
Yes, you do not recognize difference between Indians. The population, everybody has the same right.
Yeah.
But it's a very long millennials of culture involved on that. So I guess it's I believe that in the cities, maybe this is changing, in the biggest cities, but in the rural area, I think it's more the old school way to preserve things as they are, because it's the same in Brazil. We don't have caste, but people from the countryside, they are much more traditional and not so open-minded as people in the urban, big urban areas.
But the only thing with India is because there is such a large penetration of cellular phones, mobile phones. I mean, we've got a very large number of that. So, in terms of culture, definitely things are changing. It's not, you're not going to be able to protect a lot of things in the rural areas also, because the same things are going everywhere. I would have loved to have that protected, definitely. I mean, you don't want people to change a lot of things, but we lose that whatever Indianness as you call it or whatever, because now we become a global community. So definitely things are going
Yes,
to be
but
quite
I guess
uniform.
I guess that your government, the country government, only two countries in the world have more than 1 billion population.
Yeah.
China, that we know that's a closed society, they have only one party, and the party rules this entire country, and India. So when I see Brazil comparing to India, I say, look, India is more than 6 times Brazil, maybe 7 times Brazil in terms of population. How you manage, how you administer a country so big with so many people? So it's a challenge. So I think
Yeah.
India has a lot to change to the world on that, because to run a small society is easy.
Yeah.
When, for instance, I have the good news that Israel, almost everybody in Israel is vaccinated. Okay, it's very easy to do something when you have a small area and small population.
Yeah.
Good, I'm very happy for them. Now I think they want to help the outside. They need to vaccinate the Palestinians, because although they can have differences, the virus don't have borders. If you don't
Absolutely.
have the neighbors vaccinated, you have a problem. You see, Brazil, our borders are closed to our friends in South America. I cannot go to Argentina. They cannot come to Brazil because we don't want to spread the virus and the variations one to the others. We want to resolve our problems. And in the future, we will reopen the borders freely. But now it's
But totally closed. I mean, so in terms of trade and other things, there must be a lot of activity otherwise, but that's not happening now.
yes. France yesterday closed flights to Brazil. No flights departing for France will land on Brazil, and no flights departing from Brazil will land on the French territory. It's a measure. They are looking the news and decide that Brazilians are not welcomed now in France, but sooner will be again.
No, it's sad actually. That's sad. But I don't know. But people are worried. You can't do too much about that also. I don't even know what the how the vaccination thing is going to work because in terms of the certain issues which came up with
I
certain
think we will
vaccines.
need to have our passport and a proof in our passport that we are vaccinated or that we did a quarantine or things like that. We will need to do
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
only where I'm coming from, but if I'm in a good condition to not put jeopardize the health of the others, of the inviting country or the country I'm visiting. I think tourism is an important industry. We cannot stop tourism. We can hold tourism for a small part of time, but we need to see. Many people want to travel from Brazil to India because they want to know India in this myriad of Indias that are inside your country. It's a country of a lot of things to see. I guess that Bombaim is different from Goa, that's different from Bangalore, that's different from any other cities, Jaipur, wherever you go, the north, the south, I think you will find a very a great variety of things.
Yeah, totally different culture. You'll find totally different culture in it. It's not like there is a certain India which you are looking for. It's like every part of it is a different India. So it's like the elephant and the blind man situation. Whatever part you see for you, that is India. And I think that's the same thing about the people going to different countries. I mean, so if Indians from different parts of India go to various other places, so people think those are Indians, but actually there is so many types of Indians as such. So I think that that's the good part about India. Everyone is everything is going on as different
But we
places,
have
different.
good stereotypes about people from
Yeah,
India. In Brazil, we believe strongly that Indians are good on math. So
yeah.
when you are facing and doing business with an Indian, be careful with the numbers because they are very fast and very furious on mathematics. So you are not going to take any advantage on that. I guess this is true.
But we have to actually understand because this is true. We are good at that. But how does that happen? It's like I said, is it a genetic thing or is it the kind of studying that we do? There's a certain kind of way we are taught things. I don't know what it is. There is something to that for sure.
Most of the academic places I went through the world, United States, Europe, I find Indian students, and normally they are students on the top of the class because they are very focused on the apprentice. They sit in the front rows and they do the homework. It's very difficult to find a lazy Indian student in universities
Yeah.
around the world.
Yeah. No, I think that pressure comes from the parents, definitely. Because I think when you're going to a different country and you're trying to, whatever way you have to just be part of it and grow as a person and grow as a family, I think those things must be, well, that pressure must be there on them for that reason. So they have to push their children to do better. And they have done well. In most countries, they do well. I think,
And the other stereotype is what's come from your industry in Bollywood.
yeah,
So Brazil is
yes.
consuming a lot of video clips, dances, films about that.
So you have to tell me what movies have you seen any Indian movies?
Yes, I don't remember the name, but it's I saw in the Netflix that I know that you provide a very good alternative to Netflix when you do meetings like we are doing now today. And in the Netflix, I saw a film. The guy comes from a small rural community and became the driver of one uh, class of merchants.
Mhm.
And as a driver, he connects with one of the sons that went to the United States or outside, bring an Indian woman and was wanting to marry this Indian woman that was educated abroad, lived abroad, to the society. And their family is not welcoming that. Uh, in one day that we were celebrating, the girl wants to drive the car at night in a high speed and hits someone on the streets.
Mhm.
And the drivers assume the blame. I don't know the
Yeah, yeah,
case,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
this was the very last one. Slumdog Millionaire was everybody in Brazil saw the Slumdog Millionaire because it was running for the Oscar and presented small part of India. But this one was a good challenge because it was the challenge of my dream, who I am, and what I can do to change the reality around myself. And I think it was a good entertainment because I was kept all the time uh, looking what was going to happen with the main character, the driver. And in the end, he becomes a very important businessman owning taxi driving company.
Yeah. I saw that one.
But
Yeah,
there is a situation on that how he get there,
yeah.
where he found the money, and how he got the man. But it was very good movie. I liked it a lot, and I saw a week ago.
Yeah, no, I saw that one. No, but when you were growing up, was there? I mean, were you watching Bollywood movies?
Well, now when you go to the YouTube,
But,
between one thing you want to see and another, they put things in the middle, ads.
mhm.
In Brazil, most of the ads are video clips with singers, male singers and women singing from India. So they dance a lot, they move their hands, the clothes, the colors are wonderful colors, and they are noted with subtitles. So we are hearing Hindi or whatever they are talking, and we understand the history more or less about what the scenes show. So, for instance, the guy saw a girl, gave flowers to the girl, was happy to the girl, but see the girl with another man. Then the disaster in the heart, how he deals with the situation that he loves someone, but he's not loved in return. Sometimes we get this story, but sometimes it's so urban. We saw Indian young guys in a car and dancing, and I don't understand what they are trying to say because I don't get the history behind it because I don't speak their language. But most of the time, it's well constructed, very well filmed, many cameras, many angles. Um, how can I say, many cameras that I see it's put in a drone because we have aerial views, we have a lot of things, but tells a story. What I'm seeing is that according to these video clips, they are showing us a very rich and prosperous India because in these clips only see people smiling, dancing, and celebrating cars, properties, clothes, watches, things like that. A few of them is not about these things. Few of them is about the man and women relationship, love, and a celebration of love.
No, I think what happens is that those movies which are based on reality and all those things, those don't do very well. So finally, it is look, maybe also for a person, it's a release. He's going watching a movie, wants to get out of life in general, whatever they're going through. So for them, it's like fantasy land. You're going to watch whatever is happening. So maybe that's why they do well, whatever the reason is. But
Hollywood is also fantasy land. So
yeah,
when we receive from Bollywood, we believe. But congratulations for the people from Bollywood because they are doing in a very professional way. It's much better now than it was 20 years ago. 20
yeah.
years ago was more amateur.
No,
And
I think
what
what yeah no what happens is what has happened is over time these large companies have been formed. Earlier used to be say an individual producer and an director and actors and everyone are obviously working part of a project, but all of them are independent. Now these production houses have been created. So a lot of money has gone into that, and so that way I think more professionalism has come in because of that also.
Yes, very entertainment. I like. And one thing I would like to tell you also is the last time I was in a cruise ship, I was in the Adriatic,
Mhm.
and there was an upper deck for certain cabins, and I was there with my wife. Then we received friends from India that were there, and it was the father, the mother, and I guess six girls,
Wow.
and they were all dancing in the deck, and the father was filming with the mobile without music, but they were doing the movements like it was a great. I guess they will prepare to send it to someone with the music, but it was very different from us because I said, look, they are happy. Everybody happy, smile, dancing, and making faces and poses and dances for the camera. And they did this twice during our cruise time. And I said, look, why you do that? They said, no, we are happy. We want to celebrate. This is a way to express that we are very happy to be together in family. And we do this spontaneously. And I said, well, I learned something because we Brazilians, we consider ourselves open, but I would be a little shy to do this dancing in the
But did you
presence
learn
of
some
God.
steps or not? Did you ask
What?
them? Did you ask them to teach you some steps or not? Some dancing steps?
Yes, yes, yes.
Did you learn something or not?
Very few things, but what I say, the ladies do a lot of movements with the hands. They move the hands a lot. And sometimes the guy tries to repeat what the girl is doing, but sometimes the guy stand more strong, do some things like that, some. But it was highly entertaining. Everybody on the ship in that deck was clapping their hands for the Indians because they said, "Look, this is different from where we come from." It
No,
was
I think that
fantastic.
yeah. No, that way I think what Bollywood has done is at least given us music which goes around the entire country. Obviously goes outside India also. So because I was there was that in conversation with the beautiful mind with Fola and Abiola from Africa, they were talking about their younger days and how they were watching Bollywood movies. I was like amazed that they're sitting in when they were younger in Africa and you're watching Amitabh Bachchan I mean, it was very nice. I mean, Bollywood does travel quite a bit, goes all over.
Yes. Another Indian company that's coming to Brazil and selling some vehicles is Mahindra.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
We have Tata, Mahindra, ArcelorMittal. We have Indian investments in Brazil, and they are relevant. ArcelorMittal is one of the major players in steel and ways to transform steel in Brazil.
Although he is a Indian, but obviously he's based in the UK, so actually it's not really an Indian company that way. The only thing is that because he's an Indian, so people think it's an Indian company. But Mahindra is selling a lot of these Scorpios. But what vehicle are they selling in Brazil? Mahindra? What vehicle are
Um,
Brazil they're selling?
yeah, Mahindra sells a kind of truck more directed to the rural market. So if you have a farm, maybe a Mahindra vehicle will suit you. But for the city, I guess we don't have the same line of products that you have in India. We don't have Mahindra cars
Mhm.
with technology or for urban. Here in Brazil, we are changing. My car, for instance, is a hybrid. It runs with gasoline, gas, petroleum, and there is an electrical motor. So when I'm stuck on traffic, I use the electric motor. I don't spend so much, and I can run more. And in Brazil, we have now maybe 5 manufacturers that are selling 100% electric cars,
Mhm.
but we don't have many places to recharge them.
Yeah.
So Toyota is sending Corollas here that when you're running the car, you press the brake, they recharge the battery for you. So you don't need to plug when you come home to electric spot to have recharged.
Yeah, I
So I
think
guess the
yeah.
future of the industry, mobility, cars, vehicles in many of the big cities.
The problem is that the batteries are so expensive that up till those prices don't come down, the cars are going to be very expensive, and a person has to compare. Like in India, also the electric cars are quite expensive. So
We have electric cars in two different situations. One, for instance, if you go to a big hotel, they have the golf car. You play golf, you know. So the electrical car for golf is to carry only people for a very short distance. You can use it in an airport, in a big mall, in a hotel, in the golf. When you go to for an 18 hole game, I like to walk. I prefer to
yes,
walk. But
exactly. I also will
I,
not
I,
take a
I
cart.
think that part of the joy of the golf is walking because when
Exactly.
you are walking, you can talk to the
Yeah.
caddy, you can talk to the other player. You do something in Brazil sometimes, mainly the Japanese people, they do business when they are playing golf.
Yeah.
They close great deals in the business field, in the business
Because imagine, I mean,
field.
4 5 hours, if you're 4 5 hours you're together, the kind of conversations you have, I mean, you get and it's a different atmosphere. I mean, that atmosphere, the conversations are definitely different. I mean, sitting in a
Yes, but
boardroom and talking, it's a very different thing.
yes, we in Brazil, we don't have great golf players. We don't have anyone top ranking, the best. We are doing an effort, and in Brazil, I would say that women are playing better than men. We have women being more uh, appointed than men. Brazil, we don't have public golf courses. We don't have it. If
Mhm.
you have a golf course, it belongs to a private club. So you need to be part of the club to play or invited by someone to play. We
Mhm.
don't have,
Okay.
when I go to America, sometimes I'm in a park, they have a public golf
Yeah.
course.
No, we
So
have
you
a
can,
yeah, we have a public golf course here in Delhi. So that's a good thing the government has done. I mean, otherwise, I tell you, in any case, the kind of land that you need for a golf course, the land prices are very high in India. So for anyone, a private player, because people obviously have developed them, definitely, but largely a lot of developments happen with real estate with it. So the apartments and villas and all that they sell with it. So that's where a large revenue comes.
in some resorts, you find golf courses in Brazil, but it's not a full 18 hole. Maybe you have a 8 hole, 9 hole, 7 holes. I have a hotel in São Paulo near a business center. They have 4 holes. Okay, play, but it's not the same. It's like to play ping pong in a small table. That's not the same. Okay, you drive a little bit, you go for the tee, but
No, I
it,
want this. No,
it,
yeah,
it's just an appetizer.
yeah,
It's
just the
not
fact of
yet.
being a large golf course is a different atmosphere totally.
Yes, and with a 4 hole only, few people can play. You cannot play with a lot of teams because otherwise you have accidents, you have problems because they, this is the way when the space is so close. And that I don't consider mini golf. For me, mini golf has nothing to do with golf. Even for the tee, it's completely different because it's an artificial grass.
Yeah.
uh, it's a thing that I believe was invented, but it's not something that favors golf.
But you do play golf. You do end up
No,
playing golf.
very, very few. When I was young, I was part of a club. I played a lot. When I worked for an American company, we were dealing with the Japanese, and my director says, "Do you have someone who play golf?" And I raised my hand. I said, "I do." You are going to play with the Japanese, and you must lose. And I said, "Okay." When I come back, they said, "How was it?" I said, "Chief, I
Oh.
don't need to make any effort to lose. I play very well." The first ball, I didn't like my first ball, and they said, "Oh, good ball, ball, go." They are so educated, so polite, but they play very well. And the Japanese community in Brazil, they only invite you to play in the course they know everything about. So they have a big advantage when they invite you because they know every little detail, the lake, the sand, they know everything. And you are going there with your performance. Sometimes even in your best day, I said to my chief, me in my best day would lose poorly to the Japanese guys I played with. But so as you ordered me to lose, I accomplished what you sent me.
But
We lose, and we send the electrical wire company we want to the Japanese. My chief put that part of it is that I lose the game, and I said no. It was just a small gesture, but okay, it's part of the history of this deal. Uh,
no,
I
but the
lose
good
for.
thing,
I like the way to say I lose the game. They bought the
because
coin.
yeah.
Yeah, it's much
No,
more than this.
but the interesting thing with golf is, like you were saying, that whatever kind of shot you hit, the other players will say, good shot, whatever. I mean, we keep motivating each other. So that's a good thing about golfers. They're always supporting each other. I keep saying the kind of support that they do in the golf course, they should do in their workplaces also. It'd be very good.
Yes, in my opinion, the best collaboration you can get in a golf course is the caddy. If you treat well your caddy, you talk with your caddy, the caddy knows the field because he's there all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I'm alone, I give. the caddy the opportunity to play with me, and they like. And it's amazing how they play better than most of us. In Brazil, golf is seen as a sport of the millionaires. People of high level play golf because it's expensive.
Yeah.
And the caddies show that they can play better than the millionaires that are playing the golf course. The
Yeah.
same in tennis. The guy who catches the ball sometimes plays better than the ones that were with the rackets on their hands.
But the only sad thing that has happened with, at least in India, the caddies as such haven't really progressed. So they've stayed as just caddies, and the kind of the way they're treated also, that is a bit of an issue I've had. That I tried to do that about 2 years back. I did this caddy development project that I started. I wanted the position of caddies, that whole the way they are treated and everything to change. But what I saw was there's a lot of resistance from the golf clubs. They want them, and they want them at that kind of level. So that was a bit of
Yes.
a problem I saw.
In Brazil, the top 10 male golf players, I guess two or three are caddies
Yeah.
because they sometimes the people like the caddies and say, oh, I will donate you my equipment so you have everything you need to practice. Here are the balls, here are everything. Uh, 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 and they saw good players and they learn for good players.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they see what the people do to do a hole in one, for instance. That is an amazing, difficult situation. But in my life, I never had a hole in one. Never.
I've also never got one.
Yes,
I
I
keep
never got.
telling people, look, it's a fluke. If you get it, it's just a fluke. So it doesn't
Yes,
matter if you don't get
I believe in more luck because you are not aiming on the spot. You are aiming to be closer to the spot.
it. Yeah. Uh,
And depends on the geography of the
exactly.
hole,
Yeah. Exactly.
the ball will come out and go to the hole. But I guess it's more luck than technique.
And this
Huh?
funny part is that some people are quite lucky. We have this person, he's about 84 years old, and he's had three hole in ones. I
Wow.
might, I mean, this is, I mean, I have seen one myself, so I know it's not that someone tells you that he's had a hole in one. I've seen it happening. So I think people are lucky also. There's some lucky people. They're definitely
Yes.
that. But are you playing any other sport now?
Uh, when I was young, I played basketball. I didn't have this body. I was thin. I played basketball in Brazil. I have six children, three men and three girls, and they played also soccer and basketball. So basketball teach me a lot, also for the profession, because when I see my games, what I achieve in the sports, I realize that the biggest lessons were given to me when I lose a game. So it's very good to win a championship, but what makes you a great player when you look back when you was beaten and say why my team was beaten, and it's humble to recognize that sometimes the opponent is better than you.
No, no, I think that's very important. Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
yes, and basketball is a team sport. So if you have one Michael Jordan, okay, it's good, but you are not going to win a championship with one guy only. You
Yeah.
need to have a teamwork effort. So sometimes everybody is worried about the big players, and the guy who will decide the game in the last second is someone that no one is paying attention. But he must be confident to do the final jump, to do the final
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
And what I learned is that to someone to be uh, trusting and in himself, he must be allowed to make errors. So basketball, when we training, we are allowing to make errors to make our game more perfect. But to make 10 shots out of 10, you must do thousands of shots and
Yeah.
thousands of shots that you didn't match. You didn't you didn't score. So I think this taught me a lot. And golf and tennis, when you play alone, I think it's more a mental game because it's you, the other, but you against yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes the opponent is not the problem. The problem is you. You are not in a great day. I see sometimes people in the golf crutching
That's
this. I said, look, this is a way to prove that you are out of control. The game was not designed for that. Huh? I don't understand why you are taking your furry on a piece of equipment. Huh?
yeah, because finally that whole concept of being able to control your mind in golf is very important. And there was this a few days back. There was this young guy, young guy. He after he hit a bad shot and he went and hit his club onto the ground and he, like dug up the ground. And I went up to him. I said, "Look, the whole concept is you will have bad shots. The professionals also have bad shots. Only problem is you only watch the good shots because the television only shows you the best shots. But go online, go to YouTube and check the bad shots. So this is normal. It's the fact is, can you forget that one and move forward? Which is life. I mean, this is the way it is. I mean, you just have to move forward now. Keep talking about the last shot and spoiling your next shot because of that. Doesn't make sense. So it's a mind game which has to be. A lot of training has to happen with any sports. I think. Sport, I think.
Totally agree with you. I think what sports bring to life is that you make mistakes, you learn from your mistakes, and you allow yourself to make new mistakes, but
Yeah,
not the same mistakes, because
yeah,
this is stupidity to be repeating everything that's not working. But open yourself to learn few new things and to make new mistakes. And the best way to allow yourself to make mistakes is to forgive and to forgive the others when they make mistakes that you can understand.
yeah. No, I
So
think. Yeah,
I play chess. I like chess. My grandfather taught me chess. And the day I remember is the first day that I beat my grandpa.
mhm.
Then I start to teach my sons. And then I realize I didn't beat grandpa. Grandpa allowed me to win because otherwise I would not be uh, liking the game. I would say, oh, I always lose, I always lose, I will leave chess because chess is not good because I always lose from grandpa. So I found that a good teacher allows the student, the discipline, to win, to have the taste, and then conquer it. So I guess my grandpa was very smart to make me trying the game. So I did the same. When I saw that one of my children was not, oh, I let him. I did a mistake on purpose and be careful. And he won the game and he learned
Yeah.
something and he want to play me back again. And now I'm in a problem because I can no longer win any of my children because they are much better than me. But I think this is part of the mission. My grandpa give me the game and I'm giving a game better to my children and they are enjoying. And play chess is not win. Play chess is about strategy. So it's good when you have someone who has good strategy. And it's very satisfying to lose for a big Russian player when he do a movement that you say, wow, this is new. I never saw this in my life. How he did that? He moved a pawn, and with this pawn, he created a situation that I never think about. That's marvelous. That's wonderful. I would like to pay the Russian to teach me that lesson. So when you realize that when you win is good, but when you lose is also good because life goes on,
Exactly.
you are ready to be equipped for a better uh, way of playing games and working
Yeah.
in the life because life is that.
But the main thing is that because in sports and everything, things are moving so fast, you don't have time to think about the last mistake that you made. You just have to move on. And that's a very major lesson. I think for children, I think they have to be part of some sport or the other. It is okay. One is obviously the teamwork part of it, the team sports. That is, of course, important. But
I
just,
like for young people, I recommend, I think if you are in a school studying, find a sport,
yeah,
rowing, badminton, table tennis. I don't care. Find a sports, running, because when you do a sports, an individual or a team sports, it helps your mind because it establishes rapport with the others. You need to do concessions. You need to obtain, and it's a place where you find natural leadership because in a team, someone is the captain. In Brazil, we say you are the captain either because you own the ball, the soccer ball,
I
so you
know,
are the
yes.
captain because it's your ball, or because you are good, because you have some skills that the others respect. Sometimes you are not a good player, but you are talking, good to impose yourself. You are a bad player, but you are good to organize. So you call the cards. You have the coach, you have the captain, and everybody working on the same goal, the same objective. So I think it's fantastic. The metaphor that sports bring to life, I think sports is a very important tool on education. If you and sometimes you don't need a library. Of course, it's good to have books, but if you have a court, you are teaching a lot.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But how old are your children?
The oldest one I have is 31.
Mhm.
He's married, and he gave me I'm a grandpa now. I have a granddaughter called Lorena, 2 years old. He
Very
was
nice.
born uh, 1 month. He was born previous to the pandemic, but he's leaving the pandemic because he's 2 years old. And the last year was everybody with masks, and
Uh, Totally different
we
world.
just
They've seen,
celebrated
yeah.
birthdays. And we don't have birthday parties. We don't have birthday Christmas. But he's doing well. He's doing well. And I have a 31. I have a 29-year-old boy who is a business administrator, works here in São Paulo. A 27-year boy that's living in the United States is a sports coach. He made business administration and a master in sports coaching, a master in sports administration. He's a soccer coach in the United States. He married with an American girl, and they are living in Ohio.
Mhm.
So I have one boy there. I have another boy, 26, then a girl, 24, and a girl, 12,
Wow.
13 now. And the girl, 13, is studying in the school, but always with online classes.
Nice.
So it's a very busy house, and most of Brasilia, they don't have many children. The normal in Brazil is to have one or two children when you marry. This is the normal, the common. But when I had my third child, I was with my spouse, and we said we were broken because it's very expensive to grow three children, pay three schools. But then I realized that when I asked the same school I went in if he can give me a hand or do some scholarship, they gave me the scholarships. So it was easy, and my life progressed. When my wife said that he was expecting the sixth, I was in a good house. I was with my financials set, but I was desperate when he said me that we are going to have the third one.
I know that that way things are. So the youngest one is going to be spoiled a lot by you.
Yes,
That's what is
yes,
going to happen. Now you'll give them a different life altogether.
yes. And of course, in life you have to do the basics. But once you have the basics, it's not important to have things. It's much important to have experience. The human being is more important than what you have, because when you part from this life to another level of spirituality, we're not going to bring anything, the mouse, this, or that, or the clothes. So it's what you did with the time you had here that will count, that will make you happy, that will make you satisfied. So what I can say is that I'm having a blessed family. I'm very happy because each of them are gave me something that I don't have, and I new problems to think about. So sometimes they said, "Why you are married 30 years with the same woman, same wife?" I said, "Look, when you come home, I have my problem solved, my wife's problem solved, but I need to look all the others' problems. When I finish the day, I'm tired, so I go to sleep. Don't worry. And the other day, new things will come. So I don't have time to make about divorce because I have so many good things to think about that
Um,
I don't see what's not going well and why I would broke a marriage. Otherwise, uh, uh, my marriage was blessed according to my religion. So I believe that God was there saying, I will bless you too if you follow the ways I say that's my words. So if I keep on the track, I think that this force will help me with things that are not it's more than I can bear.
yeah.
When I'm in big trouble, I pray. Every day I pray. I pray for health. I pray for wisdom. I pray to put my ego down. I pray for a lot of things. With this, I'm cleaning the way and not letting the traps come in front of me. But if a new trap comes, okay, I will see if I'm equipped or not to the challenge, this trap, will put on my way.
No, but Alexander, we need your thoughts on spirituality on that other show that I do, that mediators, mediation, and spirituality. Please come there and give us your nice thoughts on that.
I was in two events that you
Yeah,
promoted, and I was very happy because I see that when you move from religion to spirituality, you open and you find common space. Everybody
yeah,
talks and understands something. If you call God or gods in a name on another, I think this is a small detail. It's
exactly.
part of my education. I came from a cultural background, of course. It's incorporated in me, part of this background. But I guess if I was in an island alone, I would talk with God. I would do my spirituality in the same way. So I like the churches I go. I like the temples, but religion is much more than only connecting to the temple.
No, that way
The
I was very
temple.
happy. Yeah, I was very happy when it's the first episode and second episode of that show. Everyone spoke about it beyond religion. No one was connecting it to religion. That was a nice thing. I mean, wasn't that? But normally you would expect everyone to be talking about religion, but that didn't happen. So okay,
Yes, and I guess that when we open our minds as we are doing now, a lot of conversation happens. I'm so astonished by the number of subjects we covered during our conversation because we talked so many things. And when I see you, Vikram, I see someone who understands what mediation is about. In my opinion, you want to foster mediation in the world. And we know that the very meaningful place that my advocacy changed is that when I said, look, I don't need to look only to the laws, to the ruling of law, what the tribunals say, what the courts say, what the laws say. Sometimes you can solve problems by a dialogue. And
absolutely.
when two people sit and trying to make options, create value, and they find something that they can do without the interference of any other, it's wonderful, it's marvelous. So I started in the last 10 years to value a lot the mediator, the position of a mediator, to put someone who is not involved with the matter just to organize how the things will happen. And when you trust a mediator, when you go to a caucus and open what's your problem, what's the problem of your client to a mediator that's bound by confidentiality, I think you are building trust. And in an environment that trust really exists, it's easy to find solutions. So I guess you, me, in this position, I put myself as a disciple of you, not the master, but someone who is learning.
Please don't even say that. Don't even say that.
Mediation is good because mediation teaches people how to solve things peacefully. And what we need in the world is that everybody respect the other. Like the elephant you mentioned, the blind man and the elephant. We see and grab what we see is just a perspective, it's just part of the entire picture.
Yeah.
If we open to discuss with the other, if we listen to the others, the great risk we assume is to understand the others. When we
Yeah.
understand the others, we mirror ourselves in the others and we see, look, I'm so beautiful as the other, and I'm so ordinary as the other. I'm not better, I'm just different. And so we realize that we can do and things together. Like bees, like ants, that when they are together, they can do much better than the simple one plus one. They do as a community, they do as a force, as a driven force. And I think that you are targeting that. So all the initiatives you had, this is one, but the spirituality, all the interviews with great names of the mediation arena in the world is a contribution for young minds or for everyone to come around and think, isn't we now in an era, in a age that the peaceful and directful solution must be the first resource, not the last resource, the first one to be put on the table. Let's talk, let's negotiate, let's mediate a lot. I think the world will be a much better place for everybody if we start putting this as the number one priority.
Yeah. And the
It-
good thing is, look, the way I'm looking at it is that the online world is giving us that opportunity which we did not have earlier. Maybe. I mean, because now there is no concept of a border or anything dividing us. So, whatever it might be, maybe we'll just create our own little world. In that world, we'll use whatever forms of keeping peace in whatever way we can discuss it. So maybe it'll become a community by itself. But in that sense, I think we just have to have these conversations and just promote that culture of mediation that I keep talking about. I think that's all that's required to be done. Because
yes, I believe that you are right because with the new technologies, the easy way to contact each other, we can escape from the word utopia because utopia is something that you cannot reach. Now we can reach. I don't need to spend money to go to India. I can talk to someone in India, in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in Argentina, in Colombia, in the United States, whatever. It's only needs your will. If you give your will, you are coming to this discussion. I know that we are making something for the others, but I hope that I give uh, just a small example of an ordinary lawyer in Brazil is doing, how we lawyers are looking for the mediation as a very important way to solve problems. And due to that, I think we are making the possibility to have a new world, a world that, okay, I live in Brazil, I under the rules and the laws of Brazil, but I can interconnect and exchange with a lot of people, no matter who is ruling your country, no matter who is taking care of your things, who doesn't matter the religion or the teams or the colors or the ideas or the gender. So I think we are now in a new barrier. We can
yep,
join minds, just
exactly.
minds, and some spirits
Yep,
that want to do to the other the best they want. Not, I don't want to diminish nobody. I think it's a pity when to achieve something, you need to put something down or someone down. No,
no,
the earth is here. Let's work on that. And I know that we are so taking care about this in a new way that we are trying to colonize Mars. We are trying to go to the other planets because we really see that if you don't do this movement, maybe we will extinguish our life here.
yep,
We'll do something very, very stupid. We are going to make the human race running the risk to disappear from Earth. Because in the pandemic, we see the sea are cleaning, the sky are cleaning ourselves, the birds are singing, the trees are coming. The nature doesn't need us.
exactly.
We are irrelevant to nature. So let's do a movement where we combine our forces to do something sustainable. Huh? And this is the message I want to address you. I don't know how many time we have, but maybe as my final words.
No, no. Why final words? I mean, there is enough that you need to tell me about what's happening in Brazil. Well, actually, what there was a couple who came from Brazil to play golf here, and they were talking about how it's not very safe. There are a lot of these private armies that people have, mafia and everything. Is it like that?
Well, in Brazil, we have a very poorly distribution of wealth. So when you go to the big cities, you will see big buildings and big slums.
Mhm.
In the slums, they organize themselves to have the things. They don't have electricity. They just go to the place and do the connection. They don't have gas. So someone is bringing there the gas to cook. And in Brazil, in the big cities, who are doing this are all the bandits or private men from the army or from the forces or from the police who are corrupted. So we have these levels of powers. And we have a problem. Sometimes you don't enter a slum town if you don't have the permission of who is ruling that time.
Wow.
And if you go to the Rio de Janeiro, for instance, sometimes to go in some neighborhoods, the police go with great armored cars. We call them caveirões. Caveirões is like it's a name to say that they are the skeleton, the cave, the skeleton face, because the police is going there in the more fierce way. They are all with heavy weapons and heavy armor. So it's a pity to see that we have these divisions. For me, when you see the poor and rich division, you are seeing an invisible Berlin Wall. There's not a wall, but the wall is there because it's dividing people. So how we get that? Because the people who is running the society is related to drug, to arms. So we have to reconquer that. I think you have a lot of talkings with Pablo Arteta, Colombia. Colombia get throw away to get rid of a 40-year civilian war. So they're with a new time. In Brazil, we have a non-declared war in our shanty towns because in each shanty towns, the rule of law, the state doesn't come.
Mhm.
If I don't give hospital, if I don't give health, if I don't give education, someone will do that for me and will be respected in the community. So it's incredible because when you see some worker in the community and say, look, this guy is a bad guy, he's a drug dealer. Okay, but when my son gets sick, it's the drug dealer who takes my son to the hospital. So I prefer to listen to the drug dealer than listen to the mayor or to the governor or to the president because who is solving my problems is that very man that you are pointing your finger to.
So that
So
loyalty,
this,
that
yeah,
loyalty
so
is
this
we.
is the challenge we have. It happens in the big capitals in Brazil, in the big cities. If you go to a small city, no. In a small city, the difference is small, the community is small. I will give you an example. If I go to the bank in São Paulo, there is a revolving door. In this revolving door, it will detect if I'm in a metal. To go to a bank, I need to put my mobile in a place. Then, if necessary, they do a search. Then I go to the branch, my branch, the branch where I have my money on it. So in a big city, it's trouble to go to a bank. In a small city, the bank is open. You can park your car with the key of your car. And now the cars don't have key, but
Mhm.
on the car, leave the car open, go to the bank, do whatever you do, take a coffee, say bye bye, and it's easy. So in a small city, you go for a bank, there is no stress on that. You go, you make it safe, nobody you make. In Brazil, if you go to the ATM and take some money, you must see if nobody is going to rob you in the very seconds after that.
Oh,
Because
fine.
people know that if you are going to ATM, most of the time it's to cash money, not to do a deposit. So it's a problem. And the criminals know the paying day. So during the paying day, I say to my sons, don't go to the bank in the paying day. Go in another way because it's when everybody is watching you, they're paying attention on you. So we have a lot of problems on that. But I believe that the future is better. So we are managing these problems slowly, but we are going to have better things. I think money in the wallet is something that's going to disappear. I heard that India is doing
Yeah,
a
lot. Yeah,
revolution.
yeah, yeah.
The Brazilian notes are funny because our money has animals on it. I will show you. I have one here. The big money in Brazil is 200 reais. We have a wolf, a lobo guará, and the other side is the republic. So the Brazilian money, when I go around, they say, "Oh, it's the monkey money, it's the fish money," because we have an animal on the money, and I think this will over. More 5 years, nobody is going to take bills and coins. We're going to do everything
Yeah,
approaching our mobiles and paying. That's
but that's
all.
what's happening here because actually what we did we about 4 5 years back we had this demonetization. So our largest currency note was actually became useless. So
Yes, I don't see Bitcoin becoming the universal coin, but I realize that we are not going to have the necessity to carry money and to exchange money.
no, you can imagine. I mean, if I want to pay for maybe if I have to buy bananas off the street, which would be what? Maybe 20 cents, 30 cents. I can pay with my phone through my phone with a digital wallet. So the transaction amount is also very little. You can do that. So it has actually changed. Things here have that way because we have a lot of mobile connectivity and
Yes, when I paid by the mobile, the watch advises me that it was paid. So I have the confirmation on my wrist
mm,
here. It's easy. I don't touch, I don't give passwords, and it's easy. So I think the new world will be very exciting.
yeah, yeah.
It's a pity that we're getting old to this new world, but
No, definitely. I mean, things.
very exciting.
The main thing is we have to. But this thing that you're talking about, the inequality of wealth, that part of it, are we going to be? What are we doing about that? I don't know whether we are getting there.
In Brazil, we are trying to make uh, public policy a minimum wage, a minimum income. It's not fair that everybody should not have the means to buy food, to live in a place. Okay, if you live in the penthouse, it's different, but you need to live an ordinary place to live. You need to have a home, a place to call home. So the basic needs must be provided by state. I'm not sure if this sounds well for everybody, but we are trying to understand how is the minimum we can guarantee to each citizen. And then, depending on your meritocracy, ou seja, in other words, if you're good, you develop, okay, the sky is the limit. We don't want to say billionaires are bad people. In Brazil, the main activities, the main initiatives are made for the billionaires because they know what I can do with such billions of some money. I will not buy, I will not eat twice, I will not sleep twice, I will not do anything triple, double, fourth times. So if I'm satisfied, let's find something that help the others because we need to help the community. So I believe that in the world, we are going to see governments paying for the citizen to guarantee that the citizens have the minimum to buy food, good food, quality food, to live well. The other things, if you want a fancy car, if you don't want to go to your work by using the subway, the metro, or the buses, or by riding a bike or anything else, walking, okay, you need to buy a car, you buy. But even the concept, you see the new generation. My son doesn't want to have a car. A car is a vehicle is a lot of expenses, taxes, a place to park, maintenance. So if we share some vehicle is better than say I am the owner of the vehicle. This is bad news for the car manufacturers because they are not going to sell millions and millions of units.
But
I
the only
believe.
thing is that with the pandemic that changed because actually here Uber is doing quite was I mean right now I can't say how well they're doing, but people were moving away from their own cars, and then the pandemic came, then everyone said, "Oh, we need our own transportation because it's not safe going in an Uber." So that kind of thing it has changed, but otherwise it was the right direction. Then why should you have to own a car? This whole pooling concept is a good concept.
In São Paulo, we have a lot of cars parked in the streets. I use my app. I can open the car and I drive. If I drive 1 hour, I pay for 1 hour. If I drive the whole day, I pay the day. But then I leave the car and the next customer will take the same car. It's not my problem. It's like you have with the bikes. Né? You have a lot of big cities with the bikes, blue, red. In São Paulo, they are orange and red, white, and red bikes. Okay, you pay for the use. This is more rational than own. And the owning concept is also bringing to homes. The new generation doesn't want to
Yeah,
buy
yeah,
a house, to buy an apartment. They want to use an apartment. It's different.
yeah.
They don't want the title. They don't need, I need to pay a lot of, I just want to live during the time I want. And if the place is small, no problem, because if the place is small, but the facilities are downstairs,
Yeah.
a laundry, it's not what I want. The food. I don't need a kitchen. I can have a refrigerator, do the frugal things I want. All the other things I will ask somebody will prepare and bring to me. So I think the next decade will be prof- deeply marked by these changes. The changes that you don't need to own and pay so high to own to have the security. I now owe a lot of things. Is what you really need to have a nice day,
No, this
day
is
by
exactly
day.
what's happening. I see the same thing here. Things like that, that change has happened here also. The young lot is actually looking at it from that perspective only. They don't want to own. So that way, things are changing. I think that way, I think maybe that is the common thing which these young people would have all over the world. I think their thought process is different. They,
Yes, and they are more easy to share. I don't like to share my car. I don't like to share my apartment. But for the new generation, why not share? It's someone who helps me to pay. And they see it differently. They say, oh,
no, I think because also when they grew up with their mobile phones and in a atmosphere where they were connecting with so many people around the world when they were growing up. So I think maybe that concept with them is different. It's not that I have to live this individualistic life. I'm part of a
I
larger
don't I
community.
don't use Vikram, but there are a lot of people in Brazil. They use the cell phones to make matches to find someone
Yeah.
perfect to you. They go. You say I am a, you describe yourself, you make a profile, and the algorithm will find someone who matches with your profile. And then you are presented to someone that is not a date that you found, but the internet's finding a date for you. And in Brazil, we have even marriages that comes from this way of finding, I suppose, or to finding someone to start a relationship with.
Yeah, for marriages, we've had that for a very long time. We have these websites and all which have been doing that, and I think they've been doing quite well also.
Yes,
Well,
I'm not in any of that, so I
you don't have to
imagine.
know. You don't have to know. You don't have to be there at all. Yes, you don't have to
Yes,
go there.
yes, I'm just imagine because I'm not so curious to be part of because I don't like to say I don't like persons. I like,
But
I
the
don't
sad,
like.
I'll tell you the sad part is Rosalia, who comes from Canada, you must have, she's comes to the, she was saying that actually people have started using LinkedIn like that. She gets these messages from people. I was very surprised that people are now, I mean, LinkedIn was supposed to be a professional thing. Why send out messages like that to people? So that part of it, I think everyone thinks everything is a matchmaking site kind of thing. So
Yes, it sounds to me desperation to use the LinkedIn to find
yeah, well,
someone.
it's very sad also because the point is that as a professional thing, you've got into a certain group because of the professional aspect of it, and you find out that there are people roaming around, sending messages out, and using it in that sense. I think that spoils the whole concept. Then a lot of people
Yes,
will then stay away from it. I mean, this was something which was professional, but Alexander, now it is your show. So as long as much time as you have, I have. You know
well,
me. I can go
I
on for
need to do
hours.
something. I was interrupted 3 times by the telephone, so I know that there are 3 people who are looking for me for something. So,
But
my friends, I hope that this is not to say bye bye. It's just to say thank you, Vikram, for the opportunity and the space to let me talk a little bit. We talk about many subjects. For me, it was good. Vikram is a good host. I think we feel very well. And if we have another opportunity, I would say, let's see if we found ourselves in the spiritual meetings that Vikram is doing or in any other place. Vikram is making a lot to spread a good message about mediation, about peacemaking, about taking decisions by reason, by common reason, by dialogue, by communication, true communication. So I'm glad to be here. I'm not so important as many of the persons that Vikram bring here because they bring professors, persons that are authorities in their fields. But I hope to have passed you a good message about Brazil. We in Brazil are very open. We Brazilian people like to engage with others in conversations. We like to interact. We are known as a hug people. When we
yeah,
don't have the virus, we like to hug people and to kiss people in the cheeks. And so this is the way Brazilians are so open. And we are a very mixed society. I guess if you need to draw a Brazilian you are not going to able to draw because we have everything you imagine, all ethnicities, all people. So you look someone, you can say, oh, Alex doesn't look Brazilian. He looks like an Arab or look like a Greek people or someone from the south of Italy. Okay, and you are going to see a Japanese, a Chinese, and then they are all Brazilians. So we want to welcome to our audience and to hope to see you in another opportunity, and maybe in an opportunity that not online, but we can interact. Vikram, thank you very
Thank you
much
very
for
much, Alexander. And I've really found people from Brazil very warm. It's been very nice interacting with everyone from Brazil, and you have definitely been such. I mean, the whole idea behind this was to get good people together and to find
yes.
someone like you sitting in Brazil, interacting with you has been a very good experience. I think I've
And
really
again,
liked that.
I'm eager to know more words in Indian to communicate better, not only namaste, namaste all the time, making everybody stay in peace. But our language is the Portuguese. Now we speak Brazilian Portuguese that's similar to Portuguese from Portugal. But most of the Brazilian business community speaks another language. Most of them speak English. Sorry if my English is not the best one, but it's a little rusty. But most of people in Brazil, if they don't speak English, they will speak French, Italian, Spanish. It's very hard to have a businessman or a counselor here in Brazil that speak only Portuguese. So
Mhm.
with that on mind, we are hoping to communicate more with you in the languages we can, with the mistakes we make, but communicating well. I'm thankful to Vikram for this great opportunity he opened, and I think you take in your heart a good impression of Brazil because Brazil is much better than I talk to you. And if you need something from Sao Paulo, Brazil, I'm always available here, not to charge you, but to help you and to make anything possible to connect you and the Brazilian communities and the Brazilians.
Definitely, we'll be actually professionally, we'll definitely be doing things together. But you are going to be part of all the shows that I do. You have to be there. So I'll see you on
Vikram,
Saturday. See you.
thank you very much. See you all on Saturday. Have a nice
Thank you.
day.
See you. Bye. Bye.